So here I am. I took everything back off. You can see that the cab is over there. The bed ends are over there. Bed sides are over here. I took them all apart because I have not finished welding the frame. Had to make sure everything fit, and it does. So I'm going to weld them. These are going to be ground smooth because the bed floor is going to be here. And then I'll finish up welding all these brackets, all this. And then what I'm going to do is I will probably boost this just a hair, and I'm going to put a bracket, I think a flat bracket here. That's my thought, with a stud in it. So it'll hold the frame down, which the floor is welded to the frame. So typically the bolt goes through the floor. You'll see in the box floor, you'll see the little head of the bolt, and it'll come through here. I don't want that, I want it all smooth. So I'm gonna put a little piece of metal right here and weld it in good here. Put a 1/2 inch stud here, weld it in, grind it down smooth. This part of it won't be doing a whole lot anyway, but when I boost the box up, because I got to put pads underneath the mounts, that'll give me enough room between this and the floor. The pad will be a little thinner right here, but that's okay. So I just wanted to do a quick where I was at. I will add to this video as I go. And then after I weld it all, like I said, I'm going to weld the floor on. I'm going to tack the floor on in a couple spots. Sides, maybe this mount here ends. So I'll tack the floor on, and then we'll put the sides on, cut them. So, all right, there we are for now. Making a little progress. As you can see, I got these welded and ground down. I got all the corners, welded. Got these all welded. Of course, all the way down here, I got all that welded. So I got all the corners, everything welded, and I got these ends capped like I wanted to. So the next thing that's in line here would be to grind some of these welds. I'm going to grind some of these, just kind of clean them up. Then I'm going to take this crap off the metal here. I'll take that off, and I'll take it off inside here. And then after I do that, then the floor is ready to go on. I'll put the floor on and I'll tack it on. I'll just tack it in a few spots. Maybe I'll tack it to this, because that's what is going to get welded to that anyway. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just tack it here, just so there won't be a tack in the way when I decide to really weld that, even though it's going to be spotted. I guess it doesn't really matter. So anyway, the top of this and the inside of this will be stripped with my brush thing. But yeah, this is all. So what I did, I want to tell you what I did here. Obviously I welded it all. I put a good weld in it. I left this frame bolted down tight when I welded it, the tops and the sides. Then I flipped it and just did a little bit on the bottom. The reason I did that, just in case this was going to get warped or anything by me pushing on it or something. Anyway, it just held it tight. Then is what I did. I ground it with your typical grinder, And these, really grind on the edge better than they do the face. I kind of ground the majority down. Then I took this thing. This is a 7-inch flapper. That baby works awesome. I can't say enough about it. It's heavy, but it works awesome. I just got this paper over there at Menards or whatever. So that works really good. I highly suggest that to anybody that wants to do some finishing welds quickly. You could put a small wheel on here, and they do pretty well. But this bigger one lasts a lot longer and still cuts better. So, and as you can see, it polishes out just fine. You know, I think there's 80 grit on there right now. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to show that I have is this brush. I got one of these deals, and this thing here really cleans up, you know, cleans up that mill scale off that. That'll do it really well. Like that flapper, that 8-inch flapper that's over there, 7-inch, 8-inch, whatever inch it is, does okay, but the mill scale will just clog it up quickly. Well, this doesn't get clogged up. This will get rid of that mill scale, and you can always top it with that, the sander. You know, it also works good on that mill scale too, is just a regular DA. DA with like an 80 grit, works really good. So anyway, that's where I'm at for right now, and we will continue on. So I got the box frame all welded up, ground down. I put this is a copper weld through primer, because what's going to happen is I'm going to put that floor on here, and then I'm going to cut it, and it'll be seamed in between here, and that's where I'll be welding it down. I'll be welding it, the floor to the side, and it'll probably penetrate down here. I might make some notches that we can weld that down in there. So anyway, that's the weld through primer that I have on the frame. So the bed is lined up on the frame, as you can see. And then I tacked it. I clamped it all the way to make sure it stayed flat. And then I tacked these, and I tacked it, as you can see, all the way down each side like that. But this is the underneath, what it'll be looking like. I still have support to go across about a third of the way down on each end, so that'll give it some extra support, even though that's pretty tough. But I tacked, as you can see, I tacked it. I clamped everywhere, all the way around, and where there's a tack was there a clamp. There was a clamp like this here. Yeah, I just C-clamped it. Did that to make sure that was down nice and tight. So I'm not gonna do any full weld or anything on that right now, or any of that. That'll be after I take this all back apart, or take it back off the actual truck frame. So the reason I wanted to do this is because it's time to put the sides on, and I've got to cut part of this back. In order for me to do that, I got to put the side on, and I'll cut it right along that side, and I'll show that. But before I do that, I got to put some supports from here up, just to kind of hold it, maybe 3 or 4 of them on each side, so I can tack weld the side to that to hold it straight. And I'll get into that when I do it. This is where this is at. So now that the floor is on, tacked all the way on, starting to put the sides on. Now, like I said, I was going to cut it right here because I left this little bit of original stuff, and I'm going to take my cutoff wheel and I'm going to copy that onto the floor. How I'm going to do that is with these. These, I just cut some posts, I just tacked them on the frame. Now I'm going to take this part, I'm I'm gonna push it back as far as I can. So it should be flush right through here. From here to here should be flush. And I'll tack them on and it'll stay there just like I did right here, this first one. Now this here front part is flush. This is all flush here. Now I'll move down to the next one, etc., etc. And you can see that it's not flush here. It's got to come out, and then I'll tack it as I go. And then that'll give me a good spot to trace right here with my cutoff wheel. I checked it. I put the end on, the front end on. It fits perfectly inside here because I have both sides tacked on just this one, the front end. So I'll show that just so you know. This side is a little bit more of a problem child. As you can see that I got this huge gap here, and it's going to take a little bit to spring this over. And when I pull this over here, you see the middle is still bowed, see? So I've got to be able to push it from the inside out here, see? And I'll do that. And this here's the front one. Again, it's flush here. It's flush with the floor. See, it's real close, right there. And if for some strange reason it's a hair off, you can just touch it with a little bit of a grinder because this edge is kind of rough, but doesn't matter. This edge here is good. This edge here is good, just like it was supposed to be. And that's it so far. Okay, I have one side cut off. So what I did, like I explained before, is that I use this lip as a guide. Put my cutoff wheel right up against that and cut. And so I kept cutting until I made a really kind of a good deep mark. And then I cut this off to cut the tacks off, cut it off. And then I continued cutting through the floor. And this is what I ended up with right here. So now the piece of siding here will come in and sit down flat, curve to here, and that's where I'll be able to weld it. With that said, I can also put little notches in so I can really tack it down to this really good. There's going to be a gap here between the side here and the floor because that's the size of my cutoff wheel. And I'll show you the cutoff wheel I'm actually using because I don't like the abrasive ones anymore. Those seem to wear out when you're doing this heavier work. So I'm actually using this here. This is a diamond cut blade. I put a brand new one in when I did this. I have another one, but it's not cutting any different than the other one. I mean, this is really thick material. This is 12 gauge, so it's going to take a bit to cut through that, especially for 6 feet. So this cut really well, did not wear it out. This will cut for a long time more. And I have Menards, I think it's only like, I don't know, 12, 13 bucks for that. Compared to, you know, $1.50 or something for the abrasive wheel. Well, I can tell you right now, I would have gone through 5, 6 of those just doing this. So that paid for that already. But anyway, I'm not trying to push products. I'm just letting you know what worked good for me. So I kind of cleaned up the edge here a little bit so it'll accept the weld. Then I gotta wipe this down a little bit. This is a weld through primer. I know when you weld, you're supposed to have this stripped from the area you're welding, which it's hard to tell, but you know, there's the cut right there. So I should be able to get into that cut because the wheel cut into this just a little bit, just enough. So we're gonna go from there. And this is where I'm at so far. So here's the box now. So what I did, like I explained, is I cut this and then I set the bedside on there, and now I have a nice gap I can fill with the weld. This of course isn't straight or anything yet, but that's okay. I kind of just touched these a little bit to knock them down, but I did that. So I made sure that they were flush. Everything was flush right to the outside here. I made sure that the front end of the front end of the box fit. That piece right there I set in, made sure it all fit right. But this is the making of the box. Same here, got it. I just got it tacked in now. I'm not gonna do the full weld yet. I think that was enough for today, and so that's it. I'm pretty happy with the way it's turning out. After I grind down these and straighten them, this one is bent. This one over here is bent a little bit on the rail. This one isn't so bad. This one's pretty straight. But as you can see, this one here, you can kind of see that right up there, just kind of like whoot. So, and I want to keep this rolled if I can keep it rolled. Otherwise, I'll trim this off and put a tube in there. But I'm gonna try to keep it. So that's it. That's the making of the box so far, and I made sure the gate fits. Tailgate fits fine. I've got hinges for it now that I can put on there. So, but before I do all that, I think I got to get the sides on. I got to get this completely welded on each side, which I'm not going to probably show that much of a video on that. But then I got to get these side brackets on that'll help keep this straight. And I'm debating on some other things, details that I got to do. You know, this is what happens when you go through a build. You change your mind as you go, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I shouldn't say I changed my mind, but you change your ideas just a little bit, and you might do something this way or that way. And now I'm thinking of some other things. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. And I'll compile this video and post it, and subscribe, like, whatever you do. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments.